Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Sports is Hilarious, and I'm your host, Maurice, the sports historian, back with another episode. First off, I hope you guys are having a good day today. I've been having a pretty good day today, and it's actually inspired me to to actually start recording videos again. So, expect to see more videos because I know I haven't uploaded in like 2-3 weeks or something like that. And it gets hard to upload. It gets hard to upload when like life and shit is being thrown in your face because, you know, it's just some shit that you just can't like ignore. You got to deal with stuff as it comes to you, and some things have to, unfortunately, be left on the back burner for some time. But this channel is no longer being left on the back burner. I'm back making content. I'm back in my element. I'm back happy enough to make content, to actually want to record. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead, get into it. We got 3 topics to talk about. Again, I want to keep these Sports is Hilarious episodes to around the 30-minute mark, so bear with me if I go a little bit over or I'm a little bit under, because again, I'm freestyling it. I have the notes and like the topics written out, but the way I navigate them is always organic. I never know what's like up here until I actually say it, which may be a problem in the future. I can foresee myself not being the best at freestyling these topics, but usually I have some semblance of what I want to say. It's just how it comes out of my mouth and how it comes across. That is always to be determined, because again, I'm not like looking directly at my notes and stuff like that. But enough yapping. It's been 2 minutes of absolutely nothing. So the first topic we're gonna talk about is AEW All Out. Now, I know that I am a little late on this, and I don't care. I don't care. We're gonna talk about AEW All Out anyway. To start off, let's talk about Will Ospreay versus Pac. That match was great. Tony Khan does this thing where he like has some of the best wrestlers in the world, and like he just puts them on the pay-per-view just for no reason. You're not gonna hear me complain about a Will Ospreay versus Pac match. I don't care. What do I have to complain about it? The match was good. The ending was cool. The spots was cool. It was for a championship. I guess it didn't really need to be if that's all we were doing was just putting 2 of the best wrestlers in the world in a match. But like, who cares? It was for a championship. All right, so what? I don't have any complaints about this match. One of the things that I will say like bugs me like a little bit when it comes to Will Ospreay is just how much he spams. I don't want to say spams, but just how much he uses the like kick out at 1, or he like no sells some things because of the adrenaline, like the wrestling psychology. Like, his adrenaline's kicking in. Like, he didn't suffer any effects of that because I don't know. I don't like how often that gets used, which is funny because it got used in actually my favorite match of the night, Willow Nightingale versus Kris Statlander, the Chicago Street Fight. Willow did one of those like, she kicked out at 1 and then she like, she's invulnerable for like a few seconds. She did that in the match. But it was called for, it was timely, and didn't do it more than once. So I didn't have any issues with that. But yeah, that's just like, if I really had to nitpick a reason why like I don't love Will Ospreay, it's because he does that a lot, and I don't like that. I don't like the consistent kickouts at 1. I don't like the consistent no selling. It's not like match ruining. It definitely can be match ruining. But usually it's not like match ruining whenever Will does it, even though he does a lot. But he didn't even do that in this match. It was just like real graps. They was doing a whole lot of flippy shit. I love flippy shit. You know what I'm saying? And speaking of flippy shit, after the match, we got a backstage segment from Will Ospreay and Ricochet, and so that looks to be the direction that Will Ospreay is going in his next feud. Or I don't know if it's his next feud, but it looks like they're building towards that as maybe one of the next premier marquee matches that Will Ospreay has. Potentially, it could be on whenever AEW's next pay-per-view is. I don't know. Again, they still have to integrate Ricochet into the AEW landscape because he did just appear at All In London, and we're like 2 weeks past All In. So again, this is a match that probably won't happen for some time, but the seeds are being planted there, and when it does happen, I'll be watching because I love flippy shit. Ricochet was cool in WWE. Will Ospreay is one of the best wrestlers in the world. Oh my goodness. You know what? This is live, and I'm not cutting any of this out live. But I just thought of a video idea, and I was gonna incorporate it into this, but I'm not. Because I'm actually going to make it its own separate video, and you're not going to know what I'm talking about until the video is uploaded. I will say it's wrestling related, so if you want to guess what that video that just came into my head is, even though I'm not giving you a single hint, put it down in the description, and if you get close to it, then I'll heart your comment or something like that. I don't know. But moving on to some more matches in AEW All Out. Willow Nightingale versus Kris Statlander was my favorite match of the card, the Chicago Street Fight. There is a bunch that I can say, but for the sake of brevity, I'm gonna try to channel my thoughts and keep it streamlined into what I really liked about the match. So, for one, there was a spot where Willow sent Kris through the barricade. It really looked like it hurt. And when I see stuff like that, I just get to thinking yo, they do this for a living. They take body slams, and they take DDTs, and they take chair shots to the back, and they go through tables, and they go through barricades. They do this for a living. I don't get how a normal sane person can see Kris Statlander go through the barricade how she did in that Chicago Street Fight and be yeah, I want to do that. I want to get paid to do that. I want to get paid to kick people's ass, and that will also include me getting my ass kicked, potentially having to go through a barricade just like she did. If you saw how she went through that barricade, it hurt, bro. It just hurts. It hurt me, and I was watching on the couch. You know what I'm saying? That type of dedication to the craft is something that I very much so appreciate. Kris Statlander, I appreciate you going through that barricade for my entertainment. I really fuck with you for that. Not only that, but there was a spot where they were setting up, they had a table set up, and Willow was on the table. Kris Statlander was going to put her through the table. She was in the ring. She was going to go to the top rope and put her through the table that way. The spot was for Willow to roll off the table and assumingly take no damage. Yeah, nah, she didn't just take no damage. She rolled off the table, and Willow's boot caught her in the head, and it caught her with some force in the head. She visibly was knocked, damn near knocked out. I want to say knocked out, but she got knocked with that boot. It was damn, yo, that's something where you got to take a few moments to collect yourself. No, Willow was fine. She carried on through the rest of the match ain't shit happened. And when I see stuff like that, number one, that match was so badass. It was badass. Everything about it. Kris bled. She bled. It wasn't gratuitous blood, but she was bloody at the end of the match. She won. She was bloody at the end of the match. Willow used a light tube. I think that was what bloodied Kris. She hit her over the head with a light tube. It was cool. You know what I'm saying? Kris tackled Willow off the entrance ramp and through 2 tables. You're never going to hear me complain about that spot. I loved it when the Usos did it at WrestleMania, and I loved it now. And then, towards the end of the match, Kris Statlander pulls out a velvet bag, and if you watch wrestling, you know what's inside these velvet bags most of the time. And of course, she empties the tacks out onto the mat, onto the wrestling mat. And whenever that happens, usually somebody's going through the tacks sooner or later. Not sooner or later, but immediately following, the tacks being spread out on the mat. It's a guessing game between who it is. A lot of the times it's the person that ends up putting the tacks on the mat, goes through him and takes the tack bump. She didn't just do that. No. She did a split onto the tacks. She did a split onto the tacks. That shit had me dying. It had me dying laughing when I saw it. And not only did she do that, a few like sequences after that, she just did a normal tack bump. She took 2 tack bumps in that match and still won. Like, that match was great. I want to rewatch that match so bad. I'm gonna rewatch it after this actually. Moving on to the final 2 matches that I'm just gonna talk about. I don't want to talk about every single match on this card, even though again this was a good card. This was a good pay-per-view, very good pay-per-view. But we moving on to Bryan Danielson versus Jack Perry for the AEW World Championship. Solid match. I don't have any gripes with it. I don't have any complaints with it. I will say that some of the Jack Perry hate that I see like on Twitter and just revolving around Jack Perry in general, it seems a little forced. I don't get why AEW fans just for whatever reason don't fuck with Jack Perry. He was fine in this match to me. All Out was in Chicago. He's got heat in Chicago because of the Punk situation, and it was a one-off match anyway. I think like we can calm down with the Jack Perry hate. I don't get it, but hey, I don't know. But what happened after the match? The Blackpool Combat Club comes out to congratulate Danielson, and surprise, they turn on him. Everybody except for Wheeler Yuta, which poor Yuta, man. He had to watch Jon Moxley choke Bryan Danielson out with a paper bag over his head. Like I said, paper bag, plastic bag over his head. All the time, like he's trying to stop Mox from doing it, and Pac is just holding him. He's holding him back. Motherfucker Wheeler Yuta got tears streaming down his face, and Pac is just holding him. He's like holding him like, nah, it's not happening. Shit was wicked. And Mox choked him out for like 35 seconds. I don't know why he needed to choke him out for that long, but yeah, Jon Moxley tried to murder Bryan Danielson on a AEW pay-per-view. So that's some sick shit. And then the final match we're going to talk about is, of course, the main event, Swerve Strickland versus Hangman Adam Page in a lights out, unsanctioned steel cage match. I think I got that in the right order. This match was fucking sick. It was sick. I will say, I don't think it was the best match that these two have had with each other. I think that goes to the Texas Death Match, and a little bit of it is like, all right, the stakes have raised to such a point with Hangman and with Swerve. These two, they fucking hate each other. They legitimately want to kill each other. This is as close as you're gonna get to two wrestlers that like actually want to murder each other in that ring as you're gonna get. So okay, the emphasis can't be on the technical aspect. It can't be on just graps. It's gotta be like they're gonna do some sick shit to each other, and some sick shit was done. They brought out a cinder block. I forget who like was power bombed through the cinder, not through the cinder block, but power bombed on top of the cinder block, and like the cinder block didn't break. It didn't break. So like the full weight of that was just on the lower back. I think it was Hangman, because like you could see the swelling on his lower back immediately after he took the power bomb. Sick shit, vicious shit. Hangman also had a burned piece of wood from Swerve's house that he burnt. Tried to stab him with it, didn't work, and Swerve ended up stabbing him with that piece of wood. Great catharsis, like great psychological games being played between those two. It was a great match. And then you get to like the ending portion, and the ending portion is polarizing because it goes beyond just like, all right, these guys want to kill each other during the match, but it goes into like, all right, he actually wants to like maim him. And the spot that I'm talking about is Hangman Adam Page pulls a syringe out of wherever. I don't know why he had a syringe, and I don't know what was in the syringe. Kayfabe, I don't know what was in the syringe. but he has a syringe and he stabs Swerve in the mouth with a fucking syringe, and he injects him with whatever is in there. Made me a little uncomfortable when I watched it. I'm not gonna lie, it made me a little uncomfortable. With that being said, though, I'm all for it. I'm all for all of the bullshit that AEW does. And I don't like this discourse that has now surrounded that spot in particular. Like, oh, that's not wrestling. That's not, like, that's, you, what the fuck are you doing? That's, no. First off, I don't know if you've noticed, but these two motherfuckers literally want to kill each other. They literally want to kill each other in this match. So truthfully, like, I don't, all bets are off. Not only that, it's unsanctioned. So again, all bets are off. If this would have happened during the Texas death match, then sure, like, I can understand why. Like, why are we bringing a syringe into this? This doesn't even make sense. They haven't even escalated to that point to where they want to where they truly want to kill each other. Even during that match, the Texas death match, it was like borderline insane shit that they was doing, because I think that was the first, like, one of the stipulation matches between them. And when I watched that match, motherfuckers was stapling each other. Like, Swerve drank Hangman's blood. It would have felt out of place even in that match. In this one, it has a place. I will say that it's not for everybody, and I understand that it's not for everybody, but, like, we can have stuff like that in wrestling as long as it's not used to an absurd degree. I think that with the circumstances surrounding Hangman Adam Page and Swerve's rivalry to this point, their beef, their feud, I think that it was at least justifiable to where one of those two could go off the deep end like that and do something truly heinous as to pulling out a fucking syringe with, again, we don't know what was in that in kayfabe. We don't know what the fuck was in that syringe. For all we know, he could have injected him with, like, Hep C or some shit. So I'm just saying, it's not out the realm of possibility, and it's not unbelievable, especially when this feud has escalated towards this point. But I will say, I enjoyed the match, and this isn't over between those two. However, the next match between them, it needs to be straight graps. I don't want to see another death match. I don't want to see a steel cage. I don't want to see unsanctioned. I want it to be straight graps. I wanted to explore that technical side of Swerve and of Hangman that I know that they both have. They're both fantastic wrestlers. I want this to be that. So, however long listen, you can pull this up whenever their next match is. If it's not strictly graps, I don't want it. I don't want another one of these. You can't replicate this. You can't replicate that Texas death match. You can't. And you truthfully, you shouldn't. There should be a beginning, a middle, and an end. This is the end of that chapter of their rivalry, where they just want to fucking kill each other. It's been settled already. The next time that they face off in a ring, in a squared circle, I want it to be focused on the graps. And I think that's fair. I think that's fair. We spent a good amount of time on AEW. Probably more than I would have liked. So I don't know how long this episode is going to be, but hey, whatever. So now, enough of the kind of happy-go-lucky. We're going to unfortunately have to be a little bit more serious for the rest of these two topics that we have. I guess we'll start off with the Tyreek Hill situation. For those of you who are not aware, the NFL week 1 is, well, I was going to say it's underway. Week 1 is done. Week 1 is done as of last Monday, as of 3 days ago. And on Sunday, obviously it's Sunday, we got the Thursday night game, but we got the Sunday night game. And during that first window of 1 p.m. games, it was reported, not even reported, it was like a video showed Tyreek Hill in handcuffs up the street from Hard Rock, from where the Dolphins play. So apparently during, like, when we were figuring stuff out, It was like reported that Tyreek Hill had been pulled over. It was just he was gonna get like a speeding ticket or something like that, and he was placed in handcuffs, and the police did some bullshit. They was on bullshit with Tyreek Hill. Since then, the body cam footage has been released, and it's extremely damning on the police. Obviously, just totally uncalled for behavior in that situation. So now that you're caught up, the fallout from that has been that I'm not sure how many officers, but one of the officers, I believe the aggressor in the video, was placed on administrative leave, and that was reported like a few days ago. So now we have a weird situation, right? On one hand, this police officer wholeheartedly was in the wrong, and I'm not a person that is shy on my thoughts on how the police treat people. I'm not shy on voicing my opinion, letting that opinion be heard. What I am concerned about, though, is in this particular situation, if Tyreek Hill is not a multi-millionaire star wide receiver, one of the top 5 most important players in all of the NFL, for one, is he let go? Because Tyreek Hill played in that game. Again, this all happened before the game that took place Sunday, and he took place in that game, and he played in that game. And during the game, he did a celebration where he was under arrest. So it appeared that everything was smoothed out, at least on his end. But my question is, if Tyreek Hill isn't a star wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins, is he able to get out of that situation as smoothly as he did? I think I know the answer to it. I think you know the answer to it. If Tyreek Hill is not a star wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins, are any of the officers in that video placed on administrative leave? Are they? I think I know the answer. I think you know the answer. So, again, we go back to this notion that the police were wrong. They were wrong in that instance. I watched the body cam footage. They were wrong in that instance. They were the aggressor toward Tyreek Hill. There was no need for the situation to escalate past any sort of like there was no. The police was in the wrong in this situation. Again, there was no need to escalate past whatever had happened. If it was going to be a speeding ticket, it should have been a speeding ticket and go about your day. But it wasn't that. Again, so I have to come back. Why is it that Tyreek Hill, because of Tyreek Hill, this police officer he's placed on administrative leave, and I think like somebody on the Dolphins, I don't want to like misconstrue anything, but a higher ranking like official in the police force had like either gotten in contact with someone on the Dolphins, or I think it was just like one of the members of the police force that were higher ranking had recognized Tyreek Hill and was like, yo, what the fuck are you doing? Let Tyreek Hill go. That's Tyreek Hill. So again, if it's not Tyreek Hill who's in that situation, does that same person get to walk away like Tyreek Hill did? The answer is no. That those police don't get placed on administrative leave. And so when you talk about this fear that people have of them being in these situations with police, it's justified. It's justified because not only have we seen that you can not be in the fault and still have something like this happen to you, or worse, because let's be clear, Tyreek Hill, and it was extremely unfortunate, like what happened, what transpired, and it shouldn't have taken place. But Tyreek Hill got off very, very, very easy because of his celebrity, because of his celebrity and his status as a wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins, one of the best receivers in the league. That is one of the reasons why he got off as easy as he did without necessarily having to face what would have been a speeding ticket if he was speeding, or him potentially being locked up for a few hours until he had to have one of his family members come and bail him out or something like that. Tyreek Hill didn't go through none of that. And there's a reason he didn't go through none of that. There's a reason he didn't go through none of that. It's a reason why, like hours after that situation transpired, the officer or officers were placed on administrative leave. So I say all of that to say this. We still got work to do as far as the injustices that occur in this country. I'm glad that Tyreek Hill got out of this situation, unharmed. I'm glad that it didn't escalate I'm glad that this situation didn't escalate to a level that we have seen on multiple occasions in this country with black men and the police. I'm glad that this has, as to my knowledge, been resolved on Tyreek's end, and I'm glad that action was taken against the police officer. But would that action have been taken if it was me driving that car? Would that action have been taken if it was my brother driving that car? Would that action have been taken if it was my father driving that car? That's all I'm gonna leave us with for that segment. Again, I told y'all we was gonna go straight to the serious shit, right? But on a similarly serious note, but less like in your face about it. Recently, Cathy Engelbert, commissioner of the WNBA, had a sit down with I believe it was CNBC. Had a sit down interview just talking about the WNBA and the growth that the league has seen over the past year because of this incoming rookie class. And I don't know how to put this. She belly flopped on her face when asked a very, very easy question to answer. I listened to the entire question and Cathy's answer. The question was along the lines of, hey, this rivalry that seems to happen between, this rivalry that has taken form has potentially, gone beyond just basketball. Speaking about the rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, obviously we know the history between that, especially if you're a follower of this channel, because I've talked about it. But yeah, we know the history between them two, and we know that it has translated into the WNBA. The question that was asked was like, hey, what is your thoughts on sometimes this behavior from fans, going out of control and potentially crossing that line? And Cathy said, yo, rivalry is good for the sport, and nothing else. Her answer was so terrible. It was astounding how bad that answer was, because the question was asked in such a way, was there was only one answer that you could even give to the question in the first place. I'm not sure who exactly had asked the question, but if you go and watch the video, which I implore you to do so, it's on Twitter and I'm sure it's on YouTube. It's not very hard to find. They qualified the question 4 times within asking it, and Cathy still just belly flopped. It was truthfully a terrible answer. And I'm not a person that gets into the language that a lot of people use. This is an exception though. And this is an exception because this is the commissioner of the WNBA. The commissioner of the WNBA, when asked what is the league doing to protect players from these fans that take things too far, she said rivalry is good, and as long as as long as you just ignore it, we good. She literally said, hey, ignore it. And that's not a serviceable answer for a commissioner of any league. That like soundbite came out, and then there was backlash from players, from the WNBA Players Association, and then after that, after like being lashed on Twitter for giving a bullshit answer, Cathy Engelbert responds with a single tweet, and was like, yeah, my bad, like racism, we don't fuck with that. My thing is, why couldn't you have just said something along the lines of that when directly asked the question? You were directly asked, what is the league doing to protect the mental health of the players that are going through some of these racist, some of these misogynistic attacks on their character? And you didn't answer that question. You didn't answer the question at all. What you did was you played into the Angel Reese's Magic Johnson and Caitlin Clark as Larry Bird. You played into that. You further played into the divide that has led to some of these racist, misogynistic attacks on some of these women, attacks on their sexuality as well. Like, I don't, if I'm commissioner of a league, I have to hold myself to a higher standard to protecting these players. That was not an acceptable answer at all. That would have been an acceptable answer to like someone who isn't involved with the WNBA. And even then, it's still not a good answer, because the emphasis should not be on the rivalry aspect. It should be on protecting these players. It should be on, hey, racism has no place here. I understand rivalries, and I understand sports rivalries. Sports rivalries get fucking intense. They get intense. But it should never cross a line where players are being threatened with harm. Players are being threatened racially. Players are being threatened. Their sexuality is being threatened. They don't feel safe. They don't feel welcome engaging in the sport that they love on some of these social media apps, because when they open their apps, it's threats to their life. It's threats to them. I say that to say, Cathy Engelbert, you got to do better. That shit was whack. That answer, extremely whack. I did not like that at all. And I know that a good majority of the opinions that I've seen on social media, they don't fuck with it either. And you know, Cathy Engelbert knows that she fucked up, because if she didn't know that she fucked up, she wouldn't have put that half-ass like statement out afterwards. And I'll say this, that statement, it sucked. It was a single paragraph tweet. It was a single paragraph tweet that was like, yeah, you know what I'm saying, racism is bad and we don't tolerate that. And that's it. And it only came after I don't know when exactly the clip had came out. I think it was yesterday, so Tuesday, but it only came after multiple WNBA players and the Players Association and the teams had like responded to that. So Cathy Engelbert, you got to do better. You got to do better at protecting these women. You have to do better at recognizing what is and what is not a threat to, you know, the well-being of the women in the WNBA. As commissioner, that is your job. As commissioner, that is your job. You have only but so many jobs as commissioner, and that absolutely is one of them. I'm looking at the time. It's about 30 minutes, and I said all I wanted to say about all of these topics. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Sports is Hilarious. Once again, I am Maurice, a sports historian. Be on the lookout for more videos, because I'm back in that content creator groove. I'm back in that mode, and hopefully it won't take me another 2 weeks to upload another video after this. So if you guys enjoy it, please leave a like, subscribe, as well as turn on post notification bell so that you get notified every time that I upload. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.